Hey friends, it's Sean Derrick here, your local real estate agent. I want to share with you your housing market update for the month of June. And I want to share at the end of this, though, is more specifics on why I think this is a shifting market right now, why we're in a shifting market, and how do you price homes within a shifting market. Stay tuned. All right, well, let's jump into the data, y'all. Let's jump into the data of what's happening in this June, this becoming hot and humid Virginia summer June. Well, a lot is happening. And we start first off by looking at inventory. We look at what is available on the current market. And right now, we have 2,093 homes available on the market. Comparison of last month, we are 14% higher in regards to more homes on the market. And I think one of the important details here is 14% more inventory is a big jump, though last month we actually had 12.6% inventory increase as well. So for the last 2 months, we have seen substantial inventory increasing, which is one of the themes that we need to really keep our pulse on as we assess the rest of the market. Now, pendings under contracts. How many are under contract? This is kind of a red flag right here. Is we have 16 and 11 currently under contract. At this time last year or last month, we had 16, which pretty much means we have less under contracts at the moment, but we have 14% more inventory than we did last month. You can imagine the demand is slowly decreasing because the supply is increasing. Now, how many homes have sold? Well, we had a great sale. We had a great month. 1,296 homes closed in the last 30 days. Comparison of last month, we had about 16% more sales this last month. So you kind of probably hear the market is still hot. Homes are selling. And that is the case. That is the case. Though we're also monitoring this fact that if 16% more homes closed last month than the month prior, and we have 14% more inventory, but less homes under contract, well, guys, you can imagine the amount of closings over this next 30 days is going to be substantially lower. So we are going to see a significant dip in closed transactions next month. Months of inventory. Now, if we were just to simply expect that we were going to have 1,296 homes that close every single month, and we have 2,093 on the market, that means if every single home closed that's on the market, we have 1.6 months of inventory. That's what that means. And when we're at 1.6 months of inventory, that means we're in a very strong seller's market. Though we're seeing buyers being picky. We're seeing buyers being picky. And that's one of the reasons, not the only, but one of the reasons why pendings is even lower than last month. So even though we are at 1.6 months of inventory, we have to look to see, well, how many are under contract, because that's the market of the moment. Days on market, we see that the median days did increase. Average days stay the same. So average days on the market is 40 days for all home sales. The median last month was 13 days, and this month is 17 days. So that just simply means it takes a little bit longer for homes to sell in the current market than where we were these last few months. Average showings, we dipped just a little bit. We're at 3.2 average showings per week versus last month we were at 3.84. So it's about 16% less showings in the current market. And list to close price is still hanging pretty strong, y'all. So the reality is, if it's priced right and it's a good looking home and it shows well, homes are still selling at 100.4%. That means a good house, average priced, average home, move-in ready, could and should sell for 0.4% more than what it's listed at. as long as it is priced right. Average sale price, we're still kind of hanging true right around that 580,000, and we kind of just see that fluctuate a little bit over time. But average price point, we are still seeing in that 582. What does that mean? If you are a buyer looking to buy homes, kind of in that 90% to average price point, so you're kind of in that 5 to 580 price point, there may be good competition and there's lots of inventory. Okay, which is good for you if you're a buyer. But if you're also a seller, you got to make sure, again, you price it right to ensure that you sell the home. Okay, so now that we looked at this data, let's kind of talk about a little bit, what does this data mean to us? Um, I know you're not writing notes. I almost said if you're writing notes. So remember this phrase: price low, sell high. Price low, sell high. Nobody likes to hear that word, price low, sell high. But the reason why I think that is a concept that you need to learn about is because we are in a shifting market. Now, when I say price low, sell high, please understand, I'm not necessarily saying price low so that you get multiple offers, like fire sale, so that you get all these multiple offers, kind of like an auction. That's not what I am talking about. Because one thing that we know is when you look to see what a value of your home is, your value is a range, right? Your value is never a price because you don't know what a buyer is willing to pay for your home until you get it on the market and you see what they're willing to pay for it, right? But you can know what the value range is. And so when we say price low, sell high, we're talking about pricing it low on that range, not necessarily pricing it so low that it's like not even in that range, right? So if that range is 425 to 5, or I'm sorry, 525 to 575, be careful for pricing it high on that range because often we're seeing those homes not selling. But if you price it low on that range, we're often seeing that you actually sell it for more than if you had to do multiple price corrections, which we'll talk about price corrections in a second. Though I think when we say shift, really the pending contracts right now, that is really the biggest kind of eyeball moment to say, wow, we have less under contract at the moment and more inventory and less showings than we did last month. And so, because of that, we're seeing this shift. And that's hard for sellers because sellers, all their friends and all their family who's sold over the last couple of years might be telling you, yeah, my house sold right away. And there are still houses that are selling right away. It's just we have to understand that may not be the market of the moment, especially when there's more inventory that buyers can choose from. What I like to say is when you're thinking about pricing it in a shifting market where we see more inventory happening, we see different pockets of the market doing different things, responding differently to prices, is price low, you sell high. So let's just talk about that for a moment. Here's some just statistics, right? And just knowing nationally what happens in real estate is when you price the home. Statistically, you should have about 3 showings per week, right? Based upon the market. And your home should be under contract in about 17 days. So if you put your home on the market and you are having 3 to 5 showings per week, but no offers, well, after a few weeks, you could be 5% off in price to be able to entice an offer. Well, the flip side of that is if you're not getting any showings or you're getting very few showings, then you could be 10% off in price. So let's imagine this for a moment. If your range, you're thinking, hey, I want to price it on the high end of 550, but really the price should be closer to like 515, but you want to test the market. Well, the reality is if you go in like that at 550 and you don't have any showings over the next 3 weeks or have very few, you may need to do a 10% price correction. Right, that's like a $50,000 price correction. Now you're down to $50,000 because over these last 3 weeks, you've given the market to see your home, and there just hasn't been traffic. So you don't want to trail the market by like lowering the price just a little bit. And you're just, if the market's going down, you don't want to be behind it. You got to get in front of it, right? Which means a bigger price correction. Though, if you would have put the home on the market for 515, let's say for example, then guess what? 100.4%. You very well may have sold it for 120 or $520,000. But let's say worst case scenario, even you had to negotiate 10,000 and you sold it for 510. That's sure better than 500, right? So when you price low, you actually are selling high in the current market. Now, here's my caveat to that. Remember, pricing, you have to think about the range. And what I'm talking about is you want to price a little bit on that lower end of the range so that you sell it higher so that you don't have to do multiple price corrections. And here's my caveat. I am seeing some homes still sell on that higher price point range when they have a wow factor in the home. Okay. And I think a lot of these wow factors in the home are often exterior. They're often landscapes. They're often hardscapes. So, yes, if it's a pool, but if there's an outdoor kitchen or there's just substantial outdoor living space, and the other homes are competing again don't have that, that often is what's kind of allowing some sellers to sell on the higher price point. So I don't want you to think that you can't sell at a higher price point, but just be very cautious that I classify today's market as a pocket market, meaning you have to determine the real estate market in your very hyper local subdivision, your very hyper local school district, you're very hyper local. It's a pocket market, meaning every pocket has its own real estate market going on right now. So, I hope that was helpful for you and I didn't bring confusion, though. Just always know I'm here for you. If you want to know what really just the value of your house is in regards to what that range is, I can help you with that. If you want to dive a little deeper into just to the pocket market, what really the market is doing for your home, your subdivision, I'm happy to help you with that. And just simply encourage you that if you are looking to sell now, come in with the proper mindset of not trying to overprice due to where we see we are in the market. And if you are a buyer, be encouraged that you may not have to come out and compete with multiple offers. You might, but that's not as common, which means you have more inventory. You have more options to be able to shop and find a home that really meets your needs. So I'm excited to serve you this summer. Have a wonderful June. Reach out if you need anything. God bless.